Charlie Bradbury has a gift. She can create and manipulate fire, but she can't control it. In the wrong hands, she's the most dangerous weapon on the planet. Her father, Andy, must do everything in his power to keep her out of the hands of the government agents who are hunting them down in the 1984 sci-fi horror flick from the mind of Stephen King, Firestarter. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And I'm Caleb Bouget.
And this is Filmgazm. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Filmgazm podcast. In honor of the new Firestarter coming out this Friday, we thought it would be fun to revisit the original 1984 adaptation. There's not a lot of love for this movie. It bombed when it came out, and it has not been reclaimed as a cult classic. Even King himself called it one of the worst of the bunch when it came to films made from his own work. But here we are. You know, we could have put this on Beyond the Bad, but we felt it deserved to be here. It's not a terrible movie.
So I could argue that there's way worse King adaptations out there than this, honestly. I would say this is, to me, middle grade adaptation level of King for me.
Yeah, I agree. I do find it funny that the director of this movie basically said, was kind of upset that King didn't like his movie, and he gave him kind of why don't you go make one? And he did, and it was Maximum Overdrive, and it didn't really work out that well. Yeah. So here we are, Firestarter. This was your first time with this movie, right?
Yeah, it's my first time watching it. All I ever knew about this film was the ending, and after watching it, I see why most people only talk about the ending. Because, dear God, this film go for it. We'll get there, but this film goes for it at the end, and it's actually it's still a pretty damn good scene. That holds up all these years later, I think. But yeah, it's my first time watching it, and like I said, this is very middle tier for me. It's not some of the best days in time. I don't agree with King. I don't think it's one of the worst of the bunch. I've sat and heard about some truly awful adaptations of his. Don't think it's down there. Very middle tier. I enjoyed it. I liked it for the most part. Not something I want to hurry up and want to watch again. I would add it to my collection, my King collection.
Yeah, I'm definitely I bought this before I bought Children of the Corn 6. You know what I mean? There's worse, much worse out there. I think this movie's not bad. I think it suffers from a pacing problem. I think having George C. Scott as John Rainbird has not aged well. And even at the time, it was glaringly obvious that this guy does not belong here.
Very interesting choice.
Yeah, weird. Apparently they also they fought hard for that. They were like, we can get George C. Scott. We just got to change the budget around. We just got to convince the producers. They didn't even try to reach out to a Native American actor. They just were like, we can get George C. Scott.
We only want George C. Scott for this role, and that is only who we want.
Unreal. And also the character got significantly watered down from the book. John Rainbird in the book is one of the scariest, most unpredictable characters King has written ever. He's terrifying. I love John Rainbird in the book. This guy is a bloated 80s George C. Scott who karate chops a guy to death at one point.
That karate chop death was a highlight for me, so you just calm down there.
It was hilarious. Just one ja to the nose, and the guy was dead.
Done for. He caved his face in apparently with one karate chop.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to get into the nitty gritty of this thing. Firestarter is based on Stephen King's 1980 novel, which is regarded as one of his best. There was a run in the 70s and 80s where King was just unstoppable. Carrie, Salem's Lot, The Shining, The Stand, The Dead Zone, Firestarter, it just didn't stop.
All of that cocaine.
Yeah. In the hands of certain people, coke is a vitamin that makes you incredibly productive. King was one of those guys.
Doesn't remember half of his written books because of it. It was just insane to me. Remember writing that? Not at all.
And even I love that the ones he doesn't remember writing are fucking great. Like Cujo, for instance, one of my favorite books of his. He wrote in 3 days on a coke binge. Doesn't remember a word, and it's fantastic. If I took coke and on a weekend tried to write a book, it ain't gonna be Cujo.
That's going to sit on my couch all weekend. What did I just do?
If I try to write anything, it's going to be like an incoherent manifesto of sorts, and I just don't want to see that. The book is really good. I read it in my undergrad and college, and it's a bit of a slow start, kind of like the movie. But once it picks up, it really picks up and has an amazing ending, which is rare for King. And apparently it was released in a limited edition, so it didn't sell that well because like the editions that were released back in 1980 did sell, but there weren't a lot of them. You know, since it's been reissued, of course. But at the time, it was like successful, but not successful because it didn't print enough.
I never understand that concept with some things like Tool kind of did that with their last album after like a 13-year long wait. They were like, hey, here's a new album, but it's gonna be like limited edition. I'm like, why? And of course it was like selling out left and right. And I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, just get it so people can get it, especially if you've waited 13 fucking years for new music from a band. Like, fuck you. Especially because like I know a lot of people have mixed feelings on that album because it's essentially like a really long jam session. So I know a lot of people that are really pissed off that they waited that long for that album. Same with this, like, really, you're going to do a limit? Just put the book out so everyone can get it. Like, why? Who wins in this scenario?
I don't know. I also, I wonder, like, when he made the Green Mile, why he released it in like, individual chapter books instead of like just writing the Green Mile. Like,
yeah, I mean, granted, I have it now as the Green Mile. Like,
me too.
Now they do it as the whole thing, and that's how I bought it and I read it. But yeah, I would be annoyed. I'd be like, dude, I want to wait till you come out with the whole thing and then I'll read it.
Yeah. So Firestarter was an experiment that I guess didn't really work out. I don't think he did that again, which was smart.
Yeah.
The film was supposed to be directed by John Carpenter, who was offered Firestarter during production of The Thing. However, when The Thing underperformed at the box office, they took it away from him. They were like, well, clearly you're not as good as we hoped. So they took it away. Somehow he got his hands on Christine and did that next. But Firestarter was too big for him, I guess.
It's just so funny to me because then now you have this film, Firestarter, that isn't really that, like, has no cult following, no nothing. Like, most people who are watching this are King fans. But then you have The Thing, which is now considered one of the greatest horror films of all time. Like, it's highly regarded, highly up there. And yet people wonder why we haven't had John Carpenter direct shit in so fucking long, because the shit like this happened to him throughout the 80s. He didn't really have this issue in the 70s when it was come Halloween and like Assault on Precinct 13. Not saying he didn't have his issues, but he had a easier time, it seemed, compared to like his 80s when it seems like the studios were just constantly fucking trying to like hinder him every step of the way.
Yeah. He got cock teased and spanked throughout the entire 80s and 90s. No wonder he hates Hollywood.
Yeah, we're just now kind of getting him back,
I do find it kind of funny that he is scoring the new Firestarter. So he did get involved eventually.
Yeah. I do love how like Blumhouse, like he essentially has a really good thing going on with Blumhouse between the new Halloween movies and Firestarter, the new Firestarter, and then obviously it gets along with the Foo Fighters because he popped up in Studio 666.
Yeah. Well, the guy they replaced Carpenter with is Mark L. Lester, who at the time was known as the director of Class of 1984.
That's a good movie. If you haven't seen that, I really like that movie.
I have not, but I would like to. It is in the book, so yeah, I'll get to it.
Sorry, Joe Bob showed it. That's how I saw it, and I was like, "Ooh, very nice. Good."
Lester would go on to direct Commando, Showdown in Little Tokyo, and a lot of other films that have not really been revisited.
Wait, did you say Commando? Or did I hear wrong?
Yeah, Commando. That was his follow-up to Firestarter.
The Schwarzenegger Commando.
Yep, they offered it to him mid-production because they're like, "This is looking pretty good. You want to do Commando?"
Like the kick-ass, like 80s as he can get action Schwarzenegger Commando.
1985, John Matrix. I Said I'd Kill You Last. Commando.
He did Commando. He did Class 1984.
And he did Firestarter.
He gave me this. Okay.
Some careers don't make sense. That's how it worked out. Drew Barrymore was cast as Charlie, having just impressed audiences as Gertie in E.T. Barrymore would grow up to be one of the most sought-after leading women in Hollywood and a rom-com darling, starring in such films as The Wedding Singer, Never Been Kissed, 51st Dates, Scream, and Charlie's Angels, among others. She's recently shifted into directing with movies like Whip It, and she starred in Netflix's Santa Clarita Diet. So Drew Barrymore.
I've heard a lot of good things about that show from a lot of people.
Cool. I'm reluctant to start Netflix shows because I know they could end at any moment.
Well, that one's already ended. Like, it's had its run already. So if you watch it, it's already
did it get an ending, or did Netflix just
I think so. I think I have to look into it. I know it lasts like 5 or 6 seasons, which is unprecedented for Netflix.
Yeah. Well, Drew Barrymore is Hollywood royalty. You know, her parents, her grandparents, her great grandparents were all big Hollywood people. You know, Lionel Barrymore and John Barrymore. Like, she's like 4th generation Hollywood royalty.
Yeah, and she has a talk show now. She has a talk show a lot.
She's a talk show?
Yeah, the Drew Barrymore show or something like that.
I didn't know that. Well, I think she's one of the best in this movie. I think she does a great job as Charlie.
Potential exploitation of child actors aside, she does. So I had read a list a couple of days ago. I know she was one on that list that has talked openly about some stuff that happened.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. But besides that, she is really good here. She was a very good kid actor that turns a very good adult actor. And yeah, she's one of the best things of this movie. She really delivers the idea of this very precocious, sweet little girl that's just stuck in something way beyond her control. And you just like E.T., you're all in. You're like, yeah, I hope she gets out of this. I love her in this movie.
Yeah, me too. David Keith plays Andy, Charlie's telekinetic father. Keith played Jack Murdoch in 2003's Daredevil, which we covered last week on our other podcast, Beyond the Bad. Not planned, just worked out that way. Thought that was funny.
We also have another unplanned similarity happening on the upcoming episode.
Yeah, an unpleasant Drew Barrymore connection that I'm sure she regrets more than anybody else on earth.
I think she regrets a lot about not just that movie, but life at that time, and we'll get into it on that later.
Yeah, I bet. Keith was also in Behind Enemy Lines, An Officer and a Gentleman, U-571, and The Indian in the Cupboard, which is a film I always liked.
I love Indian in the Cupboard. That's a great goddamn movie.
Thank you. He was Boone, the cowboy.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah, dude, I love that movie. I saw it on Blu-ray for $10. I was like, ooh, I need to get it.
Yeah, same. I had that on tape as a kid. I had the special tape that had the key and the little statue, the little toy, and you turn the case into the cupboard. I've loved it. Yeah, I've always loved that movie.
Yeah, we had the VHS. I watched it all the time when I was a kid.
Cool. I didn't know you liked that movie.
Oh yeah, it was one of my favorites. I didn't know. I thought I was alone on that island.
Yeah, I grew up with that movie. That's one of my favorite. I mean, reading into production and hearing how Lightfoot was not exactly treated well, kind of fucked up. But you know what? I didn't know that as a kid. I loved the movie I had.
I was unaware. I just really liked the movie that I had as a child. Okay.
Did you ever read any of the books?
No, I did not.
Shit got weird. Apparently the cupboard was not just able to awaken toys. Basically anything, the key could be used to open anything and turn it into a time machine, basically. So Omri puts it into a chest and goes back in time to the 1700s with Little Bear, and there's an adventure and shit. There were 4 books and all 4 were really good.
Oh shit. I didn't know that. So as I'm saying this, ladies and gentlemen, I am looking at the Blu-ray on Amazon. So I'm like, God, I do kind of want to get that. And I'm also seeing that they reprinted Small Soldiers on Blu-ray, and that was another favorite of mine as a kid. And I'm doing it. You guys heard it here. I'm getting these movies as we record.
I fucking love Small Soldiers. Yeah, we just did on Oscar Sunday a top 5 1998, and Small Soldiers was my number 5. It's one of my favorite movies in '98.
Oh, dude, that Indian Cupboard was ones I played constantly. I think I had both of the action figures from Small Soldiers in my youth.
I had Archer. I didn't have Chip, but I had Archer.
Nice.
Cool, man. That was a nice blast from the past.
It was better than certain elements of this movie.
Next up, speaking of, Oscar winner George C. Scott plays John Rainbird, the shop's assassin. Scott won his Oscar for his performance in 1970's Patton, an Oscar that he refused to accept. He basically said, like, acting's not a competition, give it back. And he didn't show up at the ceremony, and they just sent it back to the Academy.
You go, George C. Scott. You take your stand.
He was also nominated for his performances in Anatomy of a Murder, The Hustler, and The Hospital. He was also in Dr. Strangelove, The Changeling, The Rescuers Down Under, and The Exorcist 3. He died in 1999 at 71 years old from a burst abdominal aneurysm. Yeah, George C. Scott's one of the most respected and intense actors in Hollywood history. This dude always delivered. I looked at his filmography. It ranges from movies to TV shows to TV movies to plays. Like, he just went where the work went, and he always gave 100%, and I respect that.
Oh yeah, I still think my favorite George C. Scott role is Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah,
that, like, especially when you hear that apparently they told him that these were going to be the alternate, like the goofy takes, like they're not actually going to be what's on film because he's a very serious actor. He doesn't like to be funny. So what we got was the rare comedy out of him, and it's fucking gold.
I love that he fell for that. Kubrick's like, no, these are just for kicks. We're not really filming.
Yeah, we're not filming, George. It's okay.
His performance in Doctor Strangelove's hilarious. He outshines Peter Sellers. It's great. I love when there's this one part where he's doing something and he trips and falls over and he just gets right back up and keeps talking. And they just kept it in the movie because it's not like they could get a second take. These aren't supposed to be the first takes.
I still think one of my favorites is like when he's like, they make loud noises and they fly like this, and he imitates the fucking plane in the meeting.
Oh yeah, that's such a great movie. I love his performance in The Exorcist 3. He did not have to go as hardcore as he went for that movie, but seeing him and Brad Dourif just battle is fucking gold. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, especially if you've seen this franchise known as The Exorcist, you have like the height of the first film and how good that is, and you slog, you fucking do anything in your power to get through that second film because it's a rough watch. And then you get to the third film, you're like, holy shit, this improved greatly.
Exorcist 3 had no business being as awesome as it was. It could have just phoned it in, made some shitty demon movie, slapped the Exorcist title on it. But no, everyone involved wanted to make something that mattered, and you can tell. It's probably my favorite of the franchise. I like it just a little bit more than the first one, honestly.
Granted, you could, you're not, they did kind of just slap the Exorcist title on there. Because originally it was supposed to be called Legion, I believe. Yeah.
And the director's cut is like William Peter Blatty's Legion as he envisioned it. And while producers did demand, this is Exorcist 3 now, it's still a really good movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say technically they did slap the title on there, and they did haphazardly tell them to find a way to connect it to Exorcist. But to their credit, that's one of the few times where they actually figured it out in a really smart, unique way, and it worked.
Yeah, that's funny though. That movie could have been a shameless cash grab that got lost to time, but instead it's a cult favorite, and I think that's partially at least due to George C. Scott's committed performance as Kinderman.
Yeah, he goes for it. Also, update, I totally placed the order on those two movies. They're coming in on Thursday. Thank you, Amazon.
Woohoo! Well done. However, Scott as John Rainbird was a bad decision. And he's kind of, I don't know if George C. Scott was ever capable of really phoning it in, but he's not as committed as he has been in the past. I think even he can sense like, I probably shouldn't be in this movie. And we get what we get.
I like his performance. I haven't read the book, so I can't compare. Mm-hmm. I like his performance. I like how he slides between wanting to, his ultimate wanting to kill and harness this kid's power, but then completely tricking her and acting like her friend. I think those scenes are actually incredibly effective. And when he's like tricking her and like, oh no, I'm just here to help. Which I had read that apparently the reason he has the eye patch wasn't because he's being some pretentious actor. He had some kind of eye infection or something that happened, and he had to wear it, so they just wrote it into the movie.
That's in my Filmgazm facts. I'll go into that towards the end of the show, but yeah, that's kind of funny how that happened.
Yeah. So I do think he's good in the movie. It's just I don't blame him. I blame the fact that this was the 80s. It was well before all, the very understandable call Hollywood had the past couple years of like, stop doing this. We want these types of people, if they're available and they're good for part, get these people to do it. Stop doing this. So I don't blame. I blame producers who probably were sitting there going, "We don't give a shit. Just get George C. Scott." Which that's what it sounds like. They're like, "We don't care. Just get George C. Scott."
Well, it's not so much just the race thing. It's also the fact that the character of John Rainbird in the book is supposed to be this like sleek, expert assassin who's like, takes care of himself, is well built, is intimidating, and is, able to hide in plain sight. George C. Scott is like in his like 60s at this point. And it's just, I feel like in every possible way he was miscast. Like I wanted somebody, if you're going to go with a white guy, go with a white guy who's in his prime.
You could have honestly flipped him and Martin Sheen's character.
That would have been acceptable. I mean, not amazing, but it would have made more sense.
I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to go with a white guy, I would have flipped Martin Sheen, who was much younger at that time. Yeah. He was what I would say 30s, maybe. I don't know what year he was born. But it would have worked a little bit better than if you're going to stick with a white guy. Like I said, and I get that. I know I'm sure the film has its, people are backlashing it now, understandably. Like I said, Hollywood has finally been getting better about it, but that was a lot of pushback from people calling them out on it, and actors finally kind of getting in on it with us, saying like, "Hey, you need to stop doing this shit." No. So like I said, most of my blame is less on Scott and on the producers in general with this, like, because they were so adamant about getting him and being like, "Yeah, we want Scott. We have to have Scott." Like, how about you just read the goddamn book, see who is good for this role, and cast that person? Like, why does it have to be George C. Scott in the fucking 80s, for Christ's sakes?
Yep, good. Exactly. So moving on, longtime character actor Martin Sheen played Captain Hollister, leader of the shop. Sheen is the father of actors Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, and is known mostly for his role as President Josiah Bartlett on the political drama The West Wing. Some of his notable films include Apocalypse Now, Badlands, Wall Street, The Dead Zone, The Amazing Spider-Man, and The Departed. And I've always liked Martin Sheen. He's been an actor I've always enjoyed. I think he's really good as Captain Hollister. The guy's just supposed to be this, callous, manipulative government slimeball, and he does that very well.
Yeah. No, I've always liked Martin Sheen. Solid dude. Like him as an actor. Don't know what the fuck happened to really both of his sons in a way. Like Charlie Sheen went off the deep end, and Emilio Estevez just like stopped showing up in movies. One day, just like, all right.
I feel like Hollywood eventually said no to Charlie Sheen. We said no to Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, which I think was a bad move. Like what the fuck, guys? Come on, 90s kids. You saw the Mighty Ducks. What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know, but they both come. Yeah,
sorry, he may have popped up thinking Mighty Ducks. He may have popped up in the TV show Disney Plus recently did.
He was in the first season, and then he refused to get vaccinated, and he's not going to be in season 2.
Okay, never mind. He had a shot and he lost it. Got it.
Yep. And he came out and said like it was an amicable split. It was not about that. It was about something else. And everyone's like, yeah, okay, Emilio.
It's Disney, Emilio. It's absolutely about that.
Yeah. Well, this does not bode well for Young Guns 3, does it?
Are they still trying to do that? Is that like Lethal Weapon 5? Is that something that's going to?
Well, that was his way of like deflecting. I think he said something about like, and we've been talking about Young Guns 3.
Oh my God.
Like, I don't know if that's really true or he's full of shit. They call it Old Guns. I'll go see it.
So you're not young to be in a Young Guns, buddy.
But
You're missing the point of Young Guns.
To me, Martin is the best Sheen, and because he's had like the least amount of controversy. He's always committed to the craft, and I always liked him as an actor.
We haven't said no to him. Hollywood hasn't said no to him.
Especially Apocalypse Now. I mean, Brando's great, Duvall's great, but Sheen's my favorite in that movie.
Oh, dude. I stand by that actually. Like, as much as I like The Godfather, like that's actually my personal favorite Francis Ford Coppola film is Apocalypse Now. I fucking love that movie. Even the ending that had to get redone because a certain actor showed up incredibly out of shape.
I love that everything that went wrong could have gone wrong. Like, Duvall almost, or I think, was it Duvall or Sheen who almost had the heart attack? Or who had the heart attack and almost died?
I want to say because of weight, Brando, but Sheen I know went through the ringer filming that fucking movie.
I think it was Sheen. Brando didn't have a heart attack. He just showed up fat and unwilling to learn his lines, and they filmed him in shadow while he waxed poetic about whatever came into his head.
Wait. Yeah. Who also recently has been reported to have come to their movie out of shape and refused to learn their lines? Is Vin Diesel trying to think he's Brando?
If so, that's a hell of a way to start. Like, what is the worst aspects about one of the greatest actors who ever lived? I'll emulate those and see how far it gets me. That's a terrible plan, Vin.
Right? We got your fire director and quitting one that quit, couldn't take it anymore after 5 films with you, which is a lot. And possibly they're ace in the hole for the studio, someone who knows how to work with difficult actors.
I highly doubt Vin Diesel's emulating Brando. I think he's just fucking lazy. In which case, I too am emulating Brando because I'm also out of shape and I don't learn my lines for this shit. I just read off a script. So
it shows the quality of your hosting has really declined in recent years.
I know, but I don't care.
God,
because I ask myself every day, what would Marlon Brando do? He wouldn't give a fuck. He just get paid.
I'm going to have to hire like a podcasting like mediator to be like, look, we got this out of control fucking host. I need you to step in.
I just find it funny that like that's how people want to emulate Brando. They just want to show up to work fat and unprepared.
They just look at that and go like, you really had something there, Not the years that he was in shape and the king of Hollywood. No, the years that he was barely getting work because he was difficult and he was out of shape and never brought one of his lines.
Yeah. But yeah, Apocalypse Now kicks ass. It's one of the few cases where I prefer the original cut over the director's cut. I'm not a fan of the Redux.
I haven't actually seen I've only seen the theatrical cut. I have not seen the Redux.
It's an hour longer and there's a lot of unnecessary like exposition.
That movie's already like 3 hours long. What do you mean it's an hour longer?
It's an hour longer. There's a whole subplot.
Theatrical.
There's a whole subplot about like some riverboat dude's jungle house that they go to that takes up a full fucking hour. I prefer the original, streamlined.
Coppola, like God, after Godfather, just had no. It's like how Jackson, for a while, it was just like I need to make everything 3 hours long. It's like no, you don't.
Moving on, Oscar winner Art Carney plays Irv Manders, the Good Samaritan, the guy who's like, "What? The government's after you? Let me get my gun. I got this." With 0 questions. I love that. We'll get more to that later.
Training better gun.
Carney won his Oscar for his performance in 1974's Harry and Tonto, one of the oddest Oscar wins in history. He beat Al Pacino for Godfather 2, Jack Nicholson for Chinatown, and 2 others that were like, what the fuck? So pretty, I haven't seen Harry and Tonto, but I don't know. Is it as good as those movies? I guess we'll see.
I'm going to say sounds right to me. You know what? I'm devil's advocate. Sounds about right.
It's a movie about an old man and his cat.
That is riveting. So you shut your mouth.
Maybe it will be. I don't know. I'll watch it eventually.
You're a young man with a cat. You can kind of sympathize.
But my life ain't good enough for a movie. Tell you that right now. No one's gonna watch a movie about me and my fucking stupid cat.
I mean, I wouldn't watch a movie about your life in general. That's just me, though.
I wouldn't watch a movie about my life. I get that. You got to be interesting. got to do something. I'm not there yet. Carney was also in Last Action Hero, The Muppets Take Manhattan, and a lot of old TV shows, including The Honeymooners and The Jackie Gleason Show. He died in 2003 at 85 years old from natural causes. And Art Carney's a guy I haven't really explored, but as Irv Manders, this good Samaritan, and just like, you need some help, you need a sandwich, you need another gun, I'm your guy. I know we just met 5 minutes ago, but I will die for you.
For some reason, I have Judd from Pet Cemetery in my head. You don't want to go burying them out there in the Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I think King's written Judd Crandall a few times. His old guy who befriends the younger dad always seems to be kind of the same character.
I would love if that's what like this character does. Just out of nowhere starts like promoting Pet Cemetery. You're like, wait, what's happening here? I see you putting a bunch of these boys on fire. I shouldn't be telling you this, but there's a pet cemetery down the road.
Charlie just starts flinging dead pets on fire at the shop, rips open the pet cemetery. Why doesn't he do more crossovers? That'd be awesome.
He does it in his books all the time, as you know, but
I want I want a book about the kids with the shine, Danny Torrance and Carrie White and Charlie.
Institute, but okay. First I was about to be like the Institute, but okay, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, I know that was great, but I want the direct kid. I want to, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Speaking of which, thinking of that, okay, so this is called The Shop. For anyone who is a Stephen King fan, there's a certain book called The Institute he did a couple years ago. Yeah. What is with him and naming nefarious organizations and then something like The Shop, The Institute?
Because I think the shop became the Institute. I think they got taken off the books in the government after what happened here. And so they regrouped, reestablished themselves as the Institute and continued to kidnap psychic kids.
And then there'll be something else down the line as for those who have read the Institute and see how that one ends.
Yeah.
I'm not reading it here though.
I wonder if that one's been optioned.
But I'll say eventually there's gonna be a movie adaptation. His works always get optioned as soon as they come out.
Well, I hope it works out because I really like the Institute. That was a good read.
That was a good read. I still need to I have literally read 10 pages maybe of Dr. Sleep, and not because I was bored, not because I wasn't into it. I literally have not had time to keep going. So it's just been sitting on my shelf, but I really need to crack it back open.
Yeah. I'm not going to have a lot of fun time.
Not Dr. Sleep, his newest one. Billy Summers. Yeah.
I'm not going to have a lot of personal fun reading time because of what I'm doing in school, for the next 2 years. So it's going to be a while before I read King again.
I have a lot of books just on my shelf that I need to get to eventually.
Yeah, me too. Our last cast member I want to talk about here, Oscar winner Louise Fletcher, who plays Norma Manders, Irv's wife, who is very reasonably who are these people and why did you bring them to our house? She won her Oscar for her performance in 1975's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was also in Cruel Intentions, The Player, and get this, Exorcist 2, The Heretic.
Who was this?
Louise Fletcher.
Oh, that's right. She was the fucking Exorcist too.
Yeah. Nurse Ratched.
Yep. God damn it.
Yeah. Dude, Exorcist 2 had some serious power behind it. I mean, you had Louise Fletcher, Richard Burton, James Earl Jones, Linda Blair, of course. What happened?
Well, I'll say, think about it this way. It's because it was the Exorcist 2. It was an entire Olympic. Oh, shit. Okay. Exorcist was a huge fucking deal. Still a huge deal. So everyone was like, oh, hell yeah. And then, whatever the fuck happened. That's a movie I really one day, I know we did it a couple years ago on this show, but I like to revisit that one day for Beyond the Bad, because that is prime Beyond the Bad material. That and the 2 fucking prequel films.
Yeah,
they did.
I understand that, but then that means I have to watch Exorcist 2 again, and I don't know
I don't give a shit. I will have to watch it again. I've already seen it once, and I'd have to watch it again for the show. So I don't care. I don't care about your pain. Not after what I sat through for this upcoming episode. I don't care.
Again, I still have to sit through that, so it's not like you're fighting this war alone here. And you picked it. 1,700 potential movies. You picked it.
I texted that to someone. I'm like, why? Someone's like, why are you watching that movie? And I was like, it's for my podcast, and I make the schedule, so I did this to myself.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing after this. I'm gonna order a pizza and watch one of the worst movies of all time.
Wait till after 30 minutes and then eat your pizza. I'm telling you, the gross out humor is not funny. It's just fucking gross.
Is it sexual gross out or like shit gross out? Because I can handle sexual gross out.
It's not sexual. It's just gross out.
Okay. Well, now I'm curious.
Yeah. I'll put it like this. I've seen a lot of gross out humor in the Jackass film series. I can eat while I watch those still. Even when it's involving shit involvement, I can still eat. I'm fine. I had to pause a couple of times in the first 30 minutes of that movie.
Jesus. What is this monstrosity you unleashed upon us?
We had to do it. It was
no, we did not have to do it. Firestarter has an IMDb score of 6.0, Rotten Tomatoes score of 37%. It was considered a bomb, grossing only $17 million on a budget of $12 million. So $5 million profit, but not enough to be considered a success. There was a sequel miniseries released in 2002 and a remake coming out this Friday. So that is some background info on Firestarter. I don't have a lot in terms of notes on the film. I really just, I took 2 notes and we've already talked about both of them. It's George C. Scott in a braid playing a Native American, and then he karate chop assassinates the scientist. That's all I wrote down.
The reason I think of Austin Powers, judo chop.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if, there was some, I like to think this led to that because it's that ridiculous.
Okay.
And also the guy he kills is played by Freddie Jones, the guy who kidnaps the Elephant Man in The Elephant Man.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen The Elephant Man?
No, I haven't. So, way to say something that went over my head.
It's a very good movie. And maybe there's a listener out there who's like, oh, cool. Hopefully, because it's a neat little tidbit.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
It's a good movie.
Okay.
So let's just kind of talk about some scenes we liked. I think it's funny that the music produced by Tangerine Dream does have a very Carpenter vibe to it. Like this feels at times like a Carpenter movie. I wonder if, how much of Carpenter's original script got kind of recycled here.
I wonder too. Like there's scenes where like when you see all the secret agent men coming up on the farm, like that looks like a shot that had been taken out of a Carpenter film. You know what I mean? Like that, I was like, that is like prime, like paranoia, like cult type Carpenter shining through here. Like, so I wonder how much was utilized from his script or his vision for the film. I can say right now, I really wish they let him direct. I feel like he would have fucking aced this.
Yeah, we saw him handle King Christine, and that movie was great. So yeah, I think
But I also heard, like, from what I understand, like they kind of stuck closely to the book for this movie, which may have been what killed it. Because I think a lot of people forget, like, the thing that has like the reason why King has been always so hard to adapt for a lot of people is that he gets into the mind of a character big time. So they'll have their talks as he's giving you what's going on in their head, all this stuff. None of that shit translates to the movies though. At all.
That's where the pacing problem comes from, because his books, gradually get there. Like take Pet Sematary, for instance. We get to know these characters mentally very well before we lose the cat. In the movie, we lose the cat within 5 minutes. It's like there's no emotional weight here. It's just, Firestarter is a similar way. There's a lot of backstory in the book about like how Andy and his wife, like, ended up in this experiment and the shop hunting them down originally. And like, there's a bit of that in the movie, but a lot of that got taken out. And that's, it's just, it doesn't mesh well on film. If we just keep going back and forth, I get it.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, for me at least, and again, obviously it's been cracked before. There are directors that figure it out, and we get something like Shawshank Redemption. Or you could do a Kubrick dig and say fuck it and just go complete opposite and give us The Shining. And even then, some stuff like Children of the Corn, the original Pet Sematary, No, it's not the best of his work, but I still get enjoyment out of watching those films. Like I can still like those. I still like. I think they have at least very good pacing for a film. Um, but then yeah, with this one, and this is my biggest thing with this particular film. Again, I've read the book, so I can't really comment on how much it hews closely to what transpires in the book. But what I will say is that for me, we were just talking about how they put in a lot of flashbacks throughout this movie, and I guess also in the book. I was actually hooked on that part of the movie. The moment when they're on the run and like they're doing the flashbacks, I was hooked. I was really like, I liked that they just kind of went for it and just kept going. Like, okay, cool, immediate, like quick pacing. We just keep going. I like it. I like both these. You know, I like Drew Barrymore and Keith David. Right? I was about to say David Keith because Jesus Christ.
Wait, no, it is David Keith. Yes, Keith David's the black voice actor.
God damn it.
Who plays the president on Rick and Morty.
I know. God damn it. David Keith. Fuck. Both are really good in this. I believe they have really good chemistry as like father, daughter. I believe it. I'm hooked on that part. The moment George C. Scott, not Native American man, gets them and takes them to the shop, to me is when the film loses steam. When you have our two characters are now separated, they're in this one location the whole time, and at that point the movie, I even remember thinking like it's kind of moving slow now, like I'm not as invested anymore.
Well, it reminds me of the James Bond movies where like the bad guy would capture Bond and then like dress him and feed him and like explain their whole plan in like a very lavish apartment. It's like, why is this the approach here? Just kill them or, drain them, whatever you want to do with these people. But I don't know. It just feels like they had so many opportunities to accomplish their goal and they squandered them.
Yeah. With that said, there's two scenes I did highly enjoy. Both of them involve basically Drew Barrymore using her powers. The farmhouse scene when she unleashes on the agent, the secret scary agent men, like that was an awesome scene. Like the effects actually, for the most part, hold up really well. I don't know how they put off all these different fire. I know the director went on record saying it's like this was the most difficult shoot of his life because of all these effects they had to do. Bravo, because they still look good. They still hold up. Like this scene, the whole climax, like minus the bullet being stopped, minus that one little moment, like the whole climax is fucking like it looks good. It holds up. It like how they put off those fire effects and getting some people to do what they need to do. Like, wow.
Yeah, I agree. Those were excellent scenes. I like the scenes between, Andy and Charlie. I thought those were very sweet. Her being afraid of using her powers because one time she hurt her mom and, knowing that she's really powerful and knowing what she can do and trying to, push it deep down, and Andy trying to basically, console this little girl who's like the most dangerous thing on the planet. And I liked those. Those were translated very well from the book. I wish we gotten more with the mom, because she's in one scene and then is dead in the closet.
Yeah. And it took me a minute to realize I was Heather Locklear.
Yeah.
I was like, I was just looking at the movie. I was like, wait, shit, Heather Locklear's in this movie? I was like, who the fuck was she playing? As I'm watching the movie, like, who the fuck is she playing? And I was like, oh, I was like, oh, wow. I didn't realize it was her this whole time.
Yeah. Where do you want to go next?
I do think the psychic stuff with what's his name? But yeah, I thought that was kind of hokey. That
just
was
the way he was holding his head is like, nah. Reminded me of Anchorman 2 with Greg Kinnear. Remember that?
Yeah. You are psychic. I knew it.
Funny.
Yeah. I was watching it going like, okay, I'm sure this looked good back when it came out, but this is kind of corny now with like the sound effect and the way he would hold his head. And I'm like, if that's how you have to control people, you really need to work on your psychic abilities. They're a big guy.
Well, they're killing him. He's got they're dying from this. That's implied.
Oh, I didn't even catch that implication.
Yeah, it's like it's pushing every time he uses his powers, because Charlie's fine because she was born with it, but they were given this as an experiment. The Andy and his wife Vicky. So every time they use their powers, it's like putting more pressure on their brain, and if they do it enough, they're gonna die.
I didn't even catch that. Is that something in the book?
Yeah, they mentioned one of the doctors mentions it briefly about how like the power puts such a tremendous like strain on his brain. Like there's a line of dialogue that towards the end that's thrown in there.
Oh wow, I never caught that. Well, all right.
I did think that Rainbird's plan to like be in, the nice orderly who doesn't really know what's going on. I thought that was an interesting touch, and him manipulating Charlie was really interesting.
Yeah, I kind of laughed a little bit when he was like locked in her room. He started freaking out at night. And I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I love it. She's like, it's okay. Like it's the lights will come back on. Like she's telling him like it's gonna be fine, dude. Chill.
Don't be a baby, okay? Jesus.
I laughed when she told Martin Sheen to go to hell. When he showed up with the cocoa and she's like, go to hell. Where's my dad? He's like, yeah, okay, maybe later.
I really did like Martin Sheen in this movie. Like he is chewing the scenery up as the bad guy.
Oh, have you seen The Dead Zone?
No, I have not.
Sheen plays the bad guy in The Dead Zone to Greg Stilson, this asshole, like manipulative con.
I've read the book, so.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, he plays Stilson and he does a great job.
Okay. I'll check that out.
Yeah. So Sheen became like the guy, the go-to guy for 80s Stephen King movie villains, I guess.
Not a bad pick.
Yeah, not at all. I love Rainbird's death. It was so avoidable and inevitable, really.
Really? Okay. I need to talk about this scene because Andy, right? Andy?
Yeah.
Didn't have to die. He was an idiot with the whole like, now fall. No, you dumbass. Tell him to shoot himself. What is wrong with you? As soon as that happened, I'm thinking, why would you do that? Like, why?
My favorite bit about that whole scene is Martin Sheen, who's like been psychically taken over, just standing in the background, like watching everything happen. He's just like, oh. He can't do anything, but he's very much like, this is interesting. If I could think for myself right now, I'd be astonished. Yeah. But Rainbird like catching on fire and flying back through the barn, just screaming and being disintegrated. We see his skull, and yet he shows up in the second one with like some scarring.
No, he doesn't.
It's Malcolm McDowell this time, but yeah, he's supposed to have like some burn marks, and he wants revenge.
Hold on. So first we got George C. Scott, and then they went even wider, you could say. But Malcolm fucking McDowell.
What's wider? Right now? What's wider than like aggressive, angry George C. Scott? How about super English Malcolm McDowell? That's what happened.
And then Hollywood wonders why people had enough and started calling them out on fucking diversity and whatnot. There was a legitimate claim there. God.
But yeah, Charlie fucking up the shop is so satisfying. Just, the bullets bouncing off of her because she's so angry. It's their prophecy come true. Like they created the monster they were trying to stop.
Yep.
And
she's shooting fireballs. I was like, Jesus Christ, Charlie.
The look on her face isn't even like angry. It's, she's crying because she lost her dad. Like this is sad Charlie. Like, yeah, what does angry Charlie look like?
Again, in a way that could have been totally avoided had Dad just told Rainbird to shoot himself instead of fall off this thing that will totally not kill you because it's a fucking barn. I don't know if anyone's been in a barn who listens to this. The loft area of a barn's not that fucking high up. No. Usually, depends on most barns. Standard ones, not really.
Rainbird, take this 6-foot drop. That'll do it.
You might at most, if you land wrong, break your fucking leg, but you'll be fine. Like, no, dude, he has the gun. Yeah, I know he can do it. Have him shoot himself. God damn it. Just God damn it.
Well, and also instead of arguing when Andy's like, John's the one who shot us. He betrayed you. Charlie doesn't really believe it, but Rainbird instead decides to go straight to, yeah, it's true. Like, I manipulated you. Now, let me get a clear shot at your dad. Instead of maybe saying, like, they're lying to you, Charlie. I'd never hurt you. He just gives up.
Yeah, look, I get it. I really don't try to question too much when it comes to movies because they want to make stupid decisions. But this was one where I remember just going, why did he tell him to do that? Why is he just revealing everything? Why is everything becoming so convenient at the end? God damn. But I mean, it led, like I said, it led to that really exciting sequence with Charlie. So that was cool. Really seeing her powers. But before that, I'm just sitting there going, why is all the conveniences happening right now?
I love that she just ends up taking like a drive back to Irv and his wife's place, and just they hug her, and there's no word said. They saw her fuck up government soldiers with fire earlier, so they know what she's capable of. I guess they're afraid to turn her away.
We're old characters in the Stephen King story. We'll take you in, kid.
I wonder who that dude who just gave a like 9-year-old a ride was.
Yeah, I have questions.
What did she say to that guy? It's not like she could manipulate his mind. She doesn't have that power. She just had to be like, I need to go to my grandpa's house. Can you take me there?
Right. I was like, I kind of have questions for why you're so quick to do this.
Yeah. And this guy didn't say like, I found a child on the side of the road with no parents and giving me a kind of a sketchy story. I should call somebody. None of that.
I'm just going to leave her at the old people's house. Because again, in Stephen King story, they're completely evil or like the nicest old people ever.
Well, that's kind of old people, really. Like they're either super nice or they're monsters. There's not really a lot of middle ground with old people. I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, Firestarter. Oh yeah, one bit I did want to talk about. At the airport at the beginning, that soldier who's just like, I don't even love you. Why are you here? To this girl who showed up and is just being so unbelievably mean to her. Like, it's not mine. You fucked my friend. Like, and she's like, no, it's yours. And he's like, no, it is not. Why are you still here?
Yeah, what was that? What was with this weird side story that happened for a little bit?
I don't know, but Charlie lit his feet on fire and he was like, oh geez. It didn't seem like that big a deal to him.
No, and I've never seen someone so expertly jump into a fucking toilet.
That was not the first time he'd done that.
Yeah, like there was no slip or anything. He was ran the hole. Which means that was definitely his kid. If he can get his feet in a toilet like that, he didn't pull out in time. That man knows how to get stuff into holes.
His aim is pretty good. I love the cop who's like, freeze, and he's like, can I take my feet out of the toilet first?
Like, I would have seen him actually like, really, dude? Like, I had my feet on fire, asshole.
Yeah, it was just so unnecessarily over the top mean. And if you pay attention, the dialogue gets recycled. Like as Charlie's walking past them, they're talking. As they go into the booth off screen, you can hear the same dialogue said again in like the same inflection, which was really lazy. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. The movie's, it drags, but it's got its moments, it really has some awesome moments of Charlie just destroying government agents with fire, and them being so surprised when the person they're hunting, because she can control fire, starts attacking them with fire. They're always so surprised.
I love that. Oh no, she's loose. She's out. She's going to kill us all because we haven't exactly been nice to her.
Yeah. You're going to poke a bear in the face long enough. It's not the bear's fault if it rips your face off.
It's like when, Leonardo DiCaprio had to crawl his way to an Oscar. He has shot the bear once, Leo. Why did you shoot again when it was walking away? Why did you do that? For anyone who hasn't seen The Revenant, I didn't ruin anything. It's the beginning of the movie.
You're going to shoot a bear in the ass. It's your fault. It's a good movie. I haven't seen The Revenant in a long time, but it's a really good movie.
It's a very good movie. I quite enjoy it.
Yeah. Firestarter, I don't think it's a really good movie. I don't think it's a terrible movie. It's like right in the middle there.
Yeah, I would put it at like a 6 or a 7. Like, again, not the worst. King adaptation, not the best. It's very mid-tier King adaptation for me. Yeah. Has its moments, but also lots of moments where I'm just kind of half checked out and not completely invested.
Fair enough. I'm gonna give this a 7. I think that it's got a pacing problem. George C. Scott really bothers me, but I think Drew Barrymore and David Keith and the practical effects save it.
Yeah.
Here are some Filmgazm facts for Firestarter. Number 1, Martin Sheen took over at a late stage from Burt Lancaster, who had to withdraw following heart surgery. So Burt Lancaster was almost Captain Hollister.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah. I learned that Lancaster did a version of Island of Dr. Moreau in the 70s that I'd like to get my hands on.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. Number 2, George C. Scott wears an eye patch over his left eye during the final half hour of the film, which was due to the infection caused by the contact lens he wore earlier in the film. The eye was not quite healed, and he had to wear the patch to complete the filming of his scenes. So Rainbird's supposed to be blind in one eye, so they gave George C. Scott like a blurry lens, and it fucked up his eye, so they gave him an eye patch, which they should have just given him from the start.
I'll say this much. I'm glad it's not a pretentious reason. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing it for the scene. It's like, no, my eye's fucked up. I have to wear this.
Why is his eye fucked up? Because he was wearing a contact for the scene. So it did kind of bite him in the ass.
Yeah.
Number 3, in a 2010 interview, director Mark Lester confirmed that this was the most difficult film he had ever made. He said, quote, "That was all practical effects. The fireballs you see, that's not CGI. Back then, we actually created fireballs that could fly through the air. They were on a wire and could crash into buildings. We had people on fire that were on trampolines that had to flip through the air. It was very dangerous. All the effects were done right on the set. It was a pretty intense thing to do that. All that fire is in the moment. It's all practical, which is pretty awesome, and explains why this looks so good today."
Yeah, goddamn.
Yeah,
I'm impressed that that's all practical.
Yep. There's one of the trivia bits I didn't include said no stuntmen were harmed making the film, but so many were set on fire.
Kane Hodder wasn't on that set. I'll tell you that much.
Nope. Firestarter 2, Rekindled, premiered on the Sci-Fi Channel in 2002. It stars Marguerite Moreau as Charlie Bradbury, Dennis Hopper as James Richardson, one of the survivors of the Lot 6 program, and of course Malcolm McDowell as John Rainbird. Apparently, Rainbird got that special kind of plastic surgery that turns you from a burning skull to Malcolm McDowell.
And of course, it's Malcolm McDowell for this role. I mean, of course, that only makes sense. Yeah. Hey guys, do we have a chance to fix this and actually get a Native American actor? Nope. Shush your mouth. Because we got Malcolm McDowell on speed dial. He's interested.
Charlie is now a grown woman who must face a team of psychic children who have been assembled by Rainbird, who survived Charlie's attack and wants revenge. The series holds a 4.9 IMDb score. It was not received well by critics or fans.
You know what's weird? Sci-Fi Channel for a while there really seemed to have a moment where they just kept doing King adaptations.
Dude, has Sci-Fi Channel ever produced anything worthwhile that wasn't a rerun of Star Trek?
I don't know. I recently watched their Day of the Dead show. Me and Josh were watching it, and the first 2-3 episodes were good. All the Steve Kostansky created episodes were good, and then after that, it just fucking derailed so quickly. It was just like me and him were just sitting going, "Wow!" Throughout like the rest of the season, we finished it for the sake of finishing it, but it was just like, okay,
that sucks. But yeah, they just all their shows are like 1 or 2 season terrible TV shows, and then they do these like mega shark versus croctopus and shit like that. So like Is there any creative juice in that channel at all?
Apparently, it's doing well for them because they're still kicking.
It's still here. I don't understand that. How is Sci-Fi Channel still alive?
What's weird is that some of the stuff that only lasts like a season or two is like not bad. Like the Tremors TV show, I remember liking that as a kid, but it only lasted like a fucking season. Somehow they were just living high stuff, Battlestar Galactica and Stargate. When they had their actual sci-fi run is when I think they got a lot of their clout. So they had like Stargate and Farscape and fucking Battlestar Galactica, and I was like, oh my god, they haven't done anything. I would say as soon as Battlestar Galactica ended, like, I haven't seen them get quite the acclaim like they used to. Even I used to watch stuff on there. Rails 13, Eureka. Yeah, I was a fan of both those shows. I used to watch fucking every week.
Well, I don't know. I never watched any. Nothing looked appealing on Sci-Fi Channel unless it was like an edited for TV Terminator or something. Keith Thomas.
Twilight's on marathons on holidays is always nice.
Yeah, but now it's like Twilight Zone's, streaming on Hulu. I could just go there.
This is true, and you can pick it up on Blu-ray, like the whole original series now.
Yeah, it's like why don't I just do that? Keith Thomas, director of The Vigil, is helming a remake of Firestarter from Blumhouse. Ryan Kira Armstrong plays Charlie. Zac Efron plays Andy. Gloria Rubin plays Captain Hollister, and Michael Greyeyes plays John Rainbird. The film comes out Friday in theaters and on Peacock. I think it looks promising. I'm hoping the critics think the same. I hope this works out. It looks pretty good. I think it's funny that Efron's playing a dad, and I'm glad they actually got a Native American to play John Rainbird.
Yeah, the actual Native American playing John Rainbird. We say it's funny, but it's more of it's an indictment of the fact that we're just getting older because he is now old enough to play that character. Because I was like, when they first cast him, I was like, he's only in like his 20s. Why are they getting Zac Efron to do this of all people? I was like, oh shit, no, he's in his 30s. Like he is like, yeah, he could have theoretically a kid at this age. I was like, fuck, god damn it, no.
Well, dude, it's a reflection of life. You're one of the few friends I have left who doesn't have kids.
I know, I'm holding out strong, and I'm like, I will be 30 at the end of this year. So
that's how it works out, Some people's lives move faster. So yeah, Firestarter is a 7 for me. I hope this new one's better.
Yeah, it looks promising. I haven't usually get my tickets early just so I can get like a nice seat. But one, I'm not too worried because it looks like Doctor Strange is going to be eating up the box office again anyway this weekend. And two, we record this on Tuesday, so when it comes out on Wednesday, right? Yeah, I'll be getting an ingrown toenail removed, so I'm waiting to see how that goes and when I can actually put the fucking shoes back on without it hurting. You know what I mean? So then I don't sit there just going, this is good, but my foot fucking hurts type of deal. To see when I can get a fucking ticket, because I don't know if my Peacock will get it because I use Josh's and it has the ad-supported content.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I hope your toe feels better.
Yes. Have you ever had an ingrown toenail removed? The procedure is not bad. It's the part when the fucking Novocaine shit rolls off.
I've never had an ingrown.
The procedure's not bad. It's when the numb shit rolls off and your toe realizes what just happened to it, and it's like, I hate you.
That's how it felt when I got LASIK. When they numbed my eyes and then split them open with lasers and then scraped out all the shit and stitched them back up. And then halfway through the drive home, I wasn't driving, I was blind. My eyes started stinging like someone had poured bleach into my face, and it hurt so bad.
Yeah. That's why I haven't gotten. Usually I get my ticket on like Monday just to do it, but that's why I'm just going to see how it goes tomorrow. And then
the coolest thing was after that, I had to take a nap, and then I woke up and I could see. It was like I felt like Spider-Man. Remember when the first one, when he puts his glasses on and he can't see out of them, but he can see perfectly without them?
Yeah, if that ever happened to me, I want the muscles to come with that too. Because there's also that part where he's like, whoa, and I'm like, yeah, can I get that part too?
I love that he doesn't question any of that. He wakes up, he doesn't need glasses anymore, and he is cut as shit. Also, he looks down when he says big change, which makes me think something else. So, and then he just went to school. Didn't say anything.
No one at
First
school
thing
says
I'd be is
anything,
like,
too.
I'd be like, hey, I all of a sudden am buff and I don't need glasses anymore. I should see a doctor.
I mean, I'd be like, I'm going to live this life.
I guess. And then also, you know, webs shoot out of his hands. He doesn't react to any of that.
Maybe out of his ass. We don't know. As implored by Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
I do love that he got bit by a spider at a spider testing facility and just, you know, a pizza bubble appeared in his hand and he didn't say anything to anybody. I don't know how we got here, but yeah, hilarious. Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you like the show. Feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Filmgazm Productions. You can send us recommendations or feedback, or you can email us at filmgazm@gmail.com. You can check out our website, filmgazm.com, where we have every episode of our shows, as well as articles and reviews of movies we feel like watching. If you want to support the show through Anchor, you can click on support this podcast on your podcast provider. We appreciate anything you think we deserve. Next week, we go back to our team movie picking cycle with another random pick from the elusive book of Filmgazm, our endless list of potential episodes. Another biopic starring Tom Hardy as a man who spent 30 years in solitary confinement and developed a second personality who called itself Charlie Bronson. From notable director Nicholas Winding Refn, next week's episode is the 2008 crime biopic Bronson. It's such a crazy movie, and I can't wait to revisit it. And I believe this is your first time with this one.
Yeah, I've been recommending this to about a lot of people because of my love for Tom Hardy. And especially when Drive came out, they're like, oh, you need to check out Bronson. I was like, well, I'm going to check out Drive first. How's that sound? And then I'll get to Bronson. Like,
this is insane, though. I think this is the movie that got him the role of Bane because it's pretty close. He's about the same level of bulky in this one. And it's watching Tom Hardy be completely out of his fucking mind. It's a good one.
Man can act.
Oh, the man can act. Absolutely. Don't miss Freddy Got Fingered on Fridays Beyond the Bad. What was Drew Barrymore thinking? Shanghai Express on Oscar Sunday. Why did America suddenly rally behind Tom Green for like 6 months? What happened? Why did we hate ourselves?
God damn it. I look, I've already seen this film as of this recording for the episode, and I've regretted so much in my life since watching it. So much.
You knew. I warned you. I warned you so many times. It didn't have to be this way.
Look, Daddy, do you want some sausages? That's all I have.
Jesus Christ. This is going to be an interesting experience. Yeah, Shanghai Express on Oscar Sunday and the new Firestarter on Monday's sneak preview. Until then, stay away from any government agents, don't sign up for any experiments, and keep watching movies.